I made the decision of what would it be like if we could put the banking industry directly on chain. So you've heard some of the other tokenized asset talks today. So the question is, instead of having like a Circle or a Tether in between, what if US banks put dollars directly on chain, including the XRP ledger? That would mean that the ledger of record isn't some like old 50-year-old bank core. It's actually the blockchain. And so to do that, had to buy a US bank. And you can imagine, even though I'm ex-Federal Reserve, having worked at Ripple, made some other investments in crypto, it was not an easy lift. But last year, we were finally approved. Might have helped that I ran for Congress. It was going to make a stink.
Right. And here in Nevada, right?
Here in Nevada, in the second district. We purchased Fast Bank, OCC, nationally chartered Fed holding company. And we have one purpose, which is to put the US dollar on chain. What that means is these are FDIC insured US dollars, complete with Reg E chargeback protections. Means if you get robbed, you get your money back, running on chain. And in particular, under the new administration with open banking and fair access, those dollars can be held by every person all around the world.
We have big news for you today: a delayed ETF, a quiet listing, and a surprise drop in the United States confidence, all converging right now. Rex Osprey pushed their first United States spot XRP ETF launch until September 18th, and that single delay can spark fresh volatility. And reports are circulating right now that Hyperliquid's hype is showing up on I Trust Capital, a slow, steady source of new money if true. And on the macro side, the University of Michigan's preliminary consumer sentiment index fell to 55.4 versus a 58.0 expected, and that shift changes how big funds move. When catalyst, listings, and weak macro data hit at the same exact time, the loud noise hides the real moves. Most people panic or miss the play. Plus, we'll be heading over to X to get all the breaking news that's happening in the financial world today. We will head over to Forex Factory and go over the red folder news that you need to know about today. We'll dive into the consumer sentiment numbers that just got announced. We're also going to be heading over to Altcoin Pro and taking a look at the hottest crypto news. Hyperliquid hype is listed on I Trust Capital, and we are going to be jumping into the charts for XRP, and we're going to be looking at important areas of support and resistance that you need to know about right now. Plus, we'll be looking at our long-term and short-term momentum waves. We do have some very positive news that has popped up in the last 24 hours on the daily charts. And so much for you in today's video. And if you're like most people where you don't have the opportunity to spend hours a day researching crypto news like we do for you on this channel, make sure you subscribe right now. And if you are still feeling bullish about this current bull run, let me know by commenting 777 down below. First things first, let's head over to CoinMarketCap. We're going to check out the overall health of the crypto market today. As you can see, we are trading at $4.08 trillion. We have had a nice move to the upside over the past couple of days. $168 billion worth of volume coming in the last 24 hours. Fear and greed index getting to that 53 level. What we really like to see is when it just ticks over the 60 mark and it gets into basic greed. Extreme greed can be very dangerous, but basic greed is really positive. We are almost there. Altcoin season index 69 out of 100. We are very close to that 75 level where things could get really spicy. And ladies and gentlemen, it has happened. We have now dropped 56.8%, below 57% Bitcoin dominance. We have not been this low on the Bitcoin dominance charts since back in January 6th when we were at 56.3. Bitcoin ETF inflow seeing some massive moves to the upside. Today, $552 million. Yesterday, $741 million. Looking at the weekly chart here, it is massive. A $1.68 billion worth of inflows into the Bitcoin ETF. Ethereum also picking up on volume. Yesterday, getting $164 million. Today, $113 million, giving us a weekly total to the upside of $225 million. Now, last week was a pretty horrible week for Ethereum's ETF, minus 766 million. So it is at least making gains back to this week. Top 6 cryptos by total market cap: Bitcoin at $116,000, Ethereum at number 2 at $47.18, XRP at number 3 at $3.11. It is up 10% in the last 7 days. Tether at $1. Solana at number 5, taking over the number 5 spot from BNB. It is at $244, up 19% in the last 7 days. And BNB now moving down to the 6th spot at $927. Red folder news for the economy this morning that came out. Preliminary consumer sentiment. It was forecasted at a 58.2. Ended up coming in, unfortunately, very low at a 55.4. Preliminary inflation expectations. Last was a 4.8, and it actually came in at 4.8. Diving a little deeper here, consumer sentiment fell 4.8 to 55.4 in September, according to preliminary results from the University of Michigan's survey. This represents a 21% decline year over year. Consumer sentiment moved down less than 3 index points in early September, according to the survey of consumer director Joanna Su. This month's easing in economic views was particularly strong among lower and middle class consumers. Now, this may also have a lot to do with the fact that our jobs report last week was significantly poor. So last week, the jobs openings was supposed to be 7.38 million. It came in at 7.2 million. So there's not as many companies hiring. On top of that, we had the non-farm payroll employment change come out. It was supposed to be 73,000, came out as 54,000. And we also had unemployment claims were only supposed to be 230,000, came in above that at 237,000. And on top of that, we also had PBS. No fan of Donald Trump came out and told us that more than 900,000 fewer jobs were added in 2024 and 2025 than previously reported. So the last year of Joe Biden's presidency, they were pumping and cooking the books with the jobs that were actually being created. They overinflated by nearly 1 million jobs. So when that type of news hits the markets and these people are getting surveyed, they're starting to feel the crunch on buying power. Obviously, sentiment's not going to be very exciting. Interestingly enough, though, buying conditions for durables improved while all other index components fell. Consumers continue to note multiple vulnerabilities in the economy with rising risks to business conditions. Now, interestingly enough, other reporters are coming out and saying that the University of Michigan survey was once the gold standard in confidence surveys, but it's been slowly eroded by the politicization of everything, and it's more of a signal than noise at this point. And as we take a look at the NASDAQ from yesterday, as we can see right here, regardless of the consumer sentiment, we did still have a nice move to the upside in the markets. And when we take a look at it, the market for the week absolutely exploded to the upside. Now, last week with the crazy jobs numbers, we did have a wild dip to the downside, but the bulls did buy this market back to the upside. And this week, it was just an explosion to the positive. As we can see, our short-term momentum wave had started to make a rebound to the low side for a reset, and it's already making its way back to the upside. But ladies and gentlemen, none of that matters. It does matter, but what really matters is the federal funds rate, which is now forecasted at 4.25. So we are getting an official announcement that the interest rate will be lowered by 25 basis points from 4.5% to 4.25. But there are whispers coming out that we may be getting a lowering all the way to 4% because of those crazy job numbers, because of the sentiment on the market right now. We'll have to see what Jerome Powell and his buddies at the Federal Reserve come out with. Heading over to X, is Ripple truly a government deep state operation? As you guys saw from the video in the introduction here, how large is the great wealth transfer? Is it something that they are hiding from us? This is everything. Tokenization, real world assets on the XRPL, all the money, every asset, every currency on chain, XRP holders will be financially free. Digital asset investors, as we are exiting the speculative phase and entering utility phase, the quiet part is now being said out loud. Brad Garling had said it for years. The XRP army said it for years. Lock in.
Yeah, no, I am a fan of Bitcoin. I think it's going to rally. You know, it's a real asset. It is going to have real value in the future. The challenge is it doesn't transact. It doesn't solve the real world problems. There's other blockchain for that, but I think that Bitcoin is positioned well. It's just going to probably cool off for a second as real world applications come out here and new technology.
And I think what we haven't seen yet that I still think we will eventually see is a separation of wheat and chaff of, you know, what are the assets? How are these technologies being used to solve real problems that have real demand versus ones, you know, I'll pick on Dogecoin. I don't get it. Other than Elon Musk as the central actor, I don't see the use case and the purpose. And I'm sure I'll get lots of shit for saying that Dogecoin's, oh well.
Justin, XRP stablecoin, RLUSD, ranks the #1 stablecoin with an A rating by Blue Chip, an independent stablecoin rating agency. And this was crazy. I just had to post this here, but breaking: Albania, the country, appoints an AI-generated government minister to govern the country's finances. Now, what's interesting is this is like Albania putting AI in charge of their Federal Reserve. I personally believe the United States would have better results if a proper AI was trained to run our finances as well. So this is actually potentially a very positive step going forward for Albania. And just in craziness, $4.2 billion worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum options did expire today. But the big news that we've all been waiting for, which was the Rex Osprey ETF officially launching today, September 12th, marking it the first ever spot XRP ETF in the United States, has run into a delay. Just in, first spot XRP ETF faces a delay. So Rex Osprey's launch pushed to September 18th. So it is still coming, ladies and gentlemen. And just to give you a recap, we covered this yesterday. Now that we have that one moved to September 18th, Grayscale is October 18th, 21 Shares October 19th, Bitwise October 20th, Canary Capital October 23rd, Wisdom Tree October 24th, Franklin Templeton October 25th, CoinShares October 25th. And ladies and gentlemen, that is why I covered the ETF tracker. I want to get you guys hyped. The ETFs are coming. We already have leveraged ETFs for XRP, but they're not spot. When they buy a spot ETF, they're going to be required to hold XRP 1-to-1 for the amount of volume. So let me just give you an idea here. On a weekly zone right here, what if $1.7 billion worth of XRP volume hit the markets in 1 week? Where do you see that price going, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know down in the comments section. And as we covered just in, JP Morgan also expects the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates by 25 basis points next week. In a conversation with Beyond Broke on how large XRP can become in the near future, with a $32 XRP price valuation from BlackRock's head of digital assets and a possible 5-digit price target if Ripple can unlock its true potential in many years to come.
An individual from Franklin Templeton that essentially said, look, these are global commodities, right? They're not stocks. They're not things like this. I know, interestingly, BlackRock's head of digital assets, Robert Mitchnick, actually wrote a paper alongside an individual on the board of Ripple. Have you seen that paper about the valuation of Ripple?
I have.
And one of the high estimates for that valuation, by the way, and we'll probably throw it up on screen, was $32.90, right?
Well, yeah, in the paper, but Robbie actually created a calculator. It's difficult to find online now.
Okay.
But actually shows how XRP would need to operate at around $10,000 per token.
Wow.
To fulfill its actual use case. Yeah, interesting that Robbie's now in the position there at BlackRock.
And I stumbled upon this paper because we were talking about ETFs with someone, and I said, I think people are underestimating how much volume the XRP ETF is actually going to see. I think it's going to beat Ethereum, certainly to get to that $10 billion mark. It was 250 something days. I don't think it will quite beat Bitcoin at 52 days. I could be horrifically wrong. I'd love to be wrong as an XRP holder. So I think it falls somewhere between Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I think if you look at what the CME futures have done, they're the fastest ever futures to get to $1 billion in open interest.
3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. Yep. Crazy. And so I think people underestimate that. And one question came up, well, BlackRock's not going to offer an XRP ETF. I said, well, why wouldn't they? Robbie literally worked at Ripple in 2017, wrote papers on valuing it. Seems logical, right?
Well, anytime they've been asked about it, and Brad as well, they just say, I can't talk about that.
Right. Yeah, they give us the wink, as it were.
Yeah.
Bitcoin and crypto exchange Gemini just went public on the NASDAQ. So let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, you are a genius for being here. You are early to crypto, but it is about to be a tidal wave into the crypto markets. Now, the biggest tidal wave this altcoin season so far has definitely been Hyper Liquid. The Hype token has been smashing it, and now you can even find it on mainstream trading iTrust Capital. Just weeks after BitGo announced custody support for Hype, institutional momentum is already picking up. iTrust Capital has now listed Hype, giving United States retirement account investors direct access. This marks a big step in the making for Hype as a serious asset for long-term adoption. With custody already live and now retirement accounts on board, Hyperliquid is moving from hype to real infrastructure. Some thoughts for our top analyst over at Altcoin Pro, Curious J. He says, this is a domino effect that we look for. Custody, then retirement platforms often lead to large inflows. The quick turnaround from BitGo to iTrust Capital shows real demand. And speaking of iTrust Capital, we have just partnered with them. Take a look at this.
Do you love crypto, but are you worried about taxes shrinking your retirement nest egg? Here's the deal. Trading and selling crypto can trigger capital gains taxes, eating into your wealth. A crypto IRA fixes that. Per IRS publication 590B, traditional IRA gains like those from crypto aren't taxed until distributed. That's why we've partnered with iTrust Capital, a leading crypto IRA company in the USA, to sponsor today's video. And they offer institutional grade custody for retail clients that want to set up their crypto IRAs for retirement, leveraging top storage solutions like Fidelity, Wells Fargo, and Coinbase Prime to keep your assets secure. To get started, simply click the link in the description of this video, sign up for free, and fund your account with cash. They also offer 401k rollovers or crypto transfers, and you can trade 24/7 with just 1% transaction fees and no maintenance costs. As always, I'm not a CPA or financial advisor, so consult one for tax advice, and we do earn a commission if you sign up using our link below to fund your crypto IRA account, but that helps support value-based videos like this. And iTrust Capital already has over 200,000 crypto IRA accounts and over $14 billion in transactions, proving they're trusted by smart investors just like you. So click the link below, get started now by funding your account today, and let's create generational wealth together.
Heading over to the charts for XRP, as we've been talking about, these spider lines have been coming in handy for our support and also resistance levels over the long period of time. As we can see right now, we did just recently bounce in the beginning of September. Remember, September was supposed to be like the worst month in crypto ever, always. So far right now, XRP and all of crypto has had a nice move to the upside. But what I'm most excited about at this moment is the fact that we have broken back into bullish territory on our long-term momentum wave. Now, last time we were under this for 34 days, as we see there. And this time we were under our break-even line for 22 days. So if we drop down to the 4-hour charts and we swap over to the Heikin-Ashi candles, let's take a look at where some supply and demand zones are in the near term. So from this last level that we really had a hard time breaking above, which was that $3.30 level. Let's go ahead and take that candle, the last top green candle before we started melting to the downside. You can see that level became an extreme resistance, could not break through that $3.36 level, unfortunately. Right now, we are making our surge back up towards this level. So I'm looking at resistance at $3.29 after we break through that $3.36, the top level of that supply and demand zone, giving us the move to our next spider line of $3.56. Then we'll be zooming up into previous all-time high levels. So if we box off the all-time high level plus the last green candle here, once we break above 366, we can then get back into price discovery mode for XRP to the upside. Now, as of where we're at exactly right now, we are running into a potential resistance zone on this candle right here, which, as you can see, this zone was a very important resistance last time. Could not break back above it before we broke down, wicked into it once. We've tapped off of it as of today. If we can move back above this $3.14 level, then I feel more confident breaking to 329. To the downside, if we had a pullback for a retest into the lower levels, we do have this candle here that will be acting as a support level, $2.96. If we were to lose that one, then we could see a return back to these levels here in that $2.81 level. Going back to the daily charts, though, I really do like that we have broken back above the zero line. We are back into bullish territory. Our short-term momentum wave has reached the top. Our mid-term momentum wave is also getting to the top side. If we look at what happened last time we broke above this and our short-term, mid-term momentum, both were riding the top as well. That's when we broke up from the $2.20 zone all the way up into that new all-time high of 360. If we have another $1.40 run from here, that that would be putting us up at the $4.50 territory, which if we take the current resistance that we were having to fight through that we did finally break out, which broke us out of this symmetrical triangle pattern that was created there, well, that gives us a bull flag breakout that we could see happening. And that would get us a price target on the logarithmic scale all the way up to $5.40. If we take this back to standard candles, not logarithmic, and we run the same calculation here from the bottom to the top, extend the flagpole from the breakout, that breakout level gets us to $4.58. On top of that, if we do a Fibonacci from the most recent high to that swing low, and we see where we're going up, our first level of extension for the Fibonacci gets us to $4.23. The second level is $5.14. Third level, $6, and then $6.63. And if we go over to our spider lines, we can take a look. Our next level of spider line is 350. Then we get to 396, 430, and then 493 before getting back up into the 592. And then our next level will be 717. The one thing I am going to keep a very close eye on, for those of you guys that like this one, I know several people have really been liking this, which is the moon phase indicator. We are currently experiencing a full moon rise to the upside. Our last full moon rise to the upside also coincided with all the same scenarios that we're running into right now, which ran all the way up into the new moon. Now, our new moon is very close, though. The new moon will be happening September 21st. We have 9 days. Could we have an explosion in price over the next 9, all the way up to $4.50? One thing to keep in mind, we have had that breakout. It is possible we come back and retest this zone. It is not required. And in fact, if we switch back to standard candles, we can see we broke above the 30 and the 50 exponential moving average. Our 10 exponential moving average is climbing nicely. With this bullish momentum on our long-term trend wave, we'll continue to monitor this for you. Make sure you subscribe if you're getting value from these videos. Make sure you smash the thumbs up.